Hello everyone, thanks for watching or listening to another episode of Grand Advice by Good Monster. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Good Monster, and today we're on episode number 3. If you haven't gotten a chance to check out last week's episode, it's on marketing for CPAs, or you're a CPA, a one-woman show, or you know one. Go check us out on iTunes, or you can watch it on YouTube or LinkedIn. I give some good tips that you might not think would come from somebody with a digital marketing background on how to grow your CPA business. So go check that out or share that with an accountant that you might know. But today's episode number 3, is about the halo effect. It's going to be a short one, but I want to just put out this concept to give you guys some perspective that you might be able to use to apply to your own business development or your content production and marketing strategies. So the halo effect is basically this thing that happens in our brain when we meet somebody or we get a first impression about something for that first time. That will dictate the halo of other specific traits that we kind of attribute to that first encounter. So something that's common is we meet somebody who's really intelligent. They're speaking intelligently. They seem to be very articulate. We automatically think they're just going to be good at whatever they do. We automatically think they're probably successful in whatever job or profession or whatever they're doing, right? Might not be the case, but our brains just automatically think that. This happens a lot of different ways, for good or bad. This is basically how we judge people, right? And we're not going to get into the bad ways that we can judge that are not accurate. But that is what the definition of the halo effect is. When you encounter something for the first time, if that impression is good, generally the rest of the things that we think about that person or that thing are going to be good and positive. If the first impression is bad, then generally the traits and the other things that we kind of are thinking about or attributing to them are going to be bad. So that's the halo effect. Now, the same thing happens in a business. The same thing happens when somebody sees you, your business, wherever it is, whatever it is, for the very first time. They're automatically going to have this halo effect that's going to guide them down the pathway of what type of interaction they're going to have in the future. Let's start out with a perfect example of customer service. Okay. Now, this isn't the first encounter with a brand. But let's say you bought something from a website, okay? Your first impression was it took forever to get to you. It took a month to be shipped to you. Nowhere when you bought it did it say it was going to take that long, and you didn't hear anything from the company in between. It was just a month later. You had to reach out to them and say, hey, never received my order, okay? Can I check and see where it is? Then that company doesn't respond to you for 2 days. 2 days later, they email you back or they message you back and they say, here's your tracking order. You can track it here. That's not a good impression. That automatically makes you think, would make me think, that they don't pay attention to their customers. They don't care about their customers. All they care about is making money and selling products. But once they sold the product, they don't care anymore. Okay? Terrible impression. You're going to go and anytime anybody's going to ask you about that thing that you bought or where to get this widget, whatever, you're going to say, oh, don't go to this place. Customer service was terrible. Okay, then that person is automatically going to have a bad impression of your company. They're going to go and tell anybody else that asks them, don't go to this company. It was terrible. They might even go online, leave a bad review. Anybody that sees that review is going to say, company's terrible. Okay? This is what happens with the halo effect with a business and a brand. So you need to understand how this works, because it is not any different than if you meet somebody who's terrible to you. You meet somebody at a party and they're just rotten. They're just not nice. They are, they're negative. They make bad comments. They're judgmental, passive aggressive, whatever it might be. Okay, that's going to start that interaction and that relationship off in a bad light, and the halo effect of what happens after that isn't going to be good for that person. The same thing happens for your brand. So make sure that when you're planning a marketing strategy, you're talking to your sales team, whatever it is you're doing that would go out in front of your client or your customer or prospects, that you're paying attention to the entire viewpoint, the entire overview of what's happening, to make sure that the halo effect is going to be positive. That's it. I would love your comments. This was a short one. I just wanted to present this idea, but I think it's so incredibly important. And we're finding here at Good Monster that more and more, anytime we start talking about a new partner client or a new strategy or a new campaign, it starts with what's going to happen with this halo effect. Whether it's a logo, whether it's messaging for your sales team to use on emails, or whether it's what you say when you walk through a door to a meeting. Okay? Figuring out the mission, figuring out the core kind of mission and the perspective of the brand is the very first thing that you need to back up and do before you launch anything, because it will dictate what happens after that. If you loved this episode, please make sure you subscribe either on iTunes or YouTube. If you saw this on LinkedIn, leave some comments below. I really want to know like what things you want to know about, examples if this halo effect has worked for you. The engagement, the interaction, that's really how we make sure this content is providing value. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.